try to do, okay? We are going to, the only way I can do it is if I do this, and then we gotta do, we're gonna do, hold on, we're gonna do performance mode, boys, and we're gonna go down on this. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Oops. Alright, and then we're gonna do, cut this, hold on, let me go back. Hold on. We gotta do this. Cut this. Sorry, didn't mean to do it so abruptly. We're gonna do this full screen, and then we're gonna do this, and then this. Something like that, right? Alright. So, if it's working right, Lord willing. Hold on. You can't hear me talk. I've been talking and you can't hear me. Okay. So that's done. Let me go back to performance mode just so I don't kill my computer. And we're going to do this. And I'm going to try to play Fortnite while we're doing this, but based off of my laptop. I'm watching this. It's called Mormon Stories podcast. Oh, shoot. Sorry. I didn't mean to have my thing on. But it's called Mormon Stories podcast. I watched a lot of their stuff about sorry, hold on, about like the 8 passengers. Like they watched their whole, this is 6 hours long, can you believe I got through it all? So I got through that, and then now I'm watching the Lori Vallow. I don't know if I watched Dateline NBC if it would give me another what's it called, like privacy complaint or copyright strike, and I'm not trying to fuck with all that. So this is them that like have gone to the trials, or going to the trials, all that stuff, kind of their perspective. Slouchback Saturday, exactly. So just like, I guess like low key, high key trigger warning, it does talk about like Mormonism and like pretty much their use of their doctrine and their, you know, and their interpretation. I'm not gonna say all Mormons, blah blah blah, but their interpretation that kind of implemented a role in killing these kids and other people in the family. It's kind of like a wild thing. So let me hold on, let me do this real quick. Fallow interview. Let's see if that shows up at all. How long is this? Okay, so this is like 3 minutes. Let's just play like the first minute so you can kind of see it.
Absolutely.
Lori Vallow Daybell is speaking out for the first time. The 51-year-old appears in her first ever on-screen interview to break her silence on being convicted of first-degree murder in 2023 in the killings of her 7-year-old son Joshua J.J. Vallow and her 16-year-old daughter Tylee Ryan, as well as conspiring to murder her husband Chad Daybell's first wife, Tamara "Tammy" Daybell. For Lori, who denies any wrongdoing in all 3 2019 deaths,
she got crazy bitch eyebrows, bro.
For Lori, who denies any wrongdoing in all 3 2019 deaths, she says the media's portrayal of her throughout the trial was completely off base, telling NBC Dateline correspondent Keith Morrison in a March 7th interview.
You're the most hated mom in America.
I heard that. And we all know what the media does. And they exaggerate everything, and they make stuff up, and they twist things around. So I don't know how it became what it is today. It's amazing to me. And I don't really know.
Are you misunderstood?
Absolutely. How do you know a person if you never talked?
Bro, so crazy. Anyways, so that's what we're working with, okay? Let me do... Why is it only giving me the option to discard clip? Why is it only giving me the option to... Why can't I do live chat on here? Hold on, you guys. That's so annoying. Anyways, okay. You remember that YouTuber who was keeping her kids hostage and everything? They made a documentary. Yeah, that's who I was talking about earlier with the 8 passengers. Dude, where the hell is mine? I don't have it near me. Okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to use my phone then, which is gonna be irritating.
There's a new study out about the
Shut up. Okay. Why is it not letting me do top chat? I don't want to do a clip. Whatever. Okay, so we're just gonna try to do this, and then if it won't let me do, yes, Ruby Frankie. It won't let me do. Is it because it's my own stream? Hold on, let me try to do this way then. Okay. There it goes. That's so weird. It wouldn't let me just do it like live chat on here. Alright, cool. I got you guys up now. I'm gonna use my other phone as the fucking second monitor because I don't have a third right now. Someday, maybe. We'll see. Anyways, for now, this is good. Progress. So let me get comfy and see if this even works, but we'll try to get this, Oh, did you watch the series on Hulu? I told you it was a little fucking intense before. Let me... Actually, there we go. There we go. So it should work, hopefully.
Yes, you know, in the family there is somewhat of a history of blood clots. Lori and Alex's, my grandmother Novelle died of a brain aneurysm, so there was some speculation in the family about that. However, again, Gerardo is correct. There are lots and lots of ways that a pulmonary embolism could be caused that would be undetectable.
Let's go.
And just to silence everybody who's speculating in the chat, yes, Alex had an autopsy. Yes, it was ruled natural causes due to bilateral pulmonary embolism. Yes, his body was cremated, but they did reserve blood and tissue samples in case they needed to test something in the future. But you can't just do, and yes, a tox panel was done, but you can't just do a tox screening for everything. Like there's a general panel that they do that's standard for autopsies, but if you want to look for a specific toxin or a specific drug or a specific poison, you have to specify that you want that specific thing to be tested, and they can't just test for everything. So yes, 100%, there's a possibility that someone could have introduced some kind of toxin into his food or his bloodstream, or he could have done it himself. That would have caused him to have pulmonary embolism, and then it would be undetectable. So the timing of it is way too suspicious. For people saying he was young and healthy, he was 51, he was an over-the-road trucker. So that's kind of what, some other people have said, that, when you're an over-the-road trucker, you can get DVT, which can cause blood clots and things like that. Okay, fine. But he was a killer who was directly responsible for the deaths of several people, directly involved. And then, he was saying to Zulema, I think I might be their fall guy. And then a day later, he's dead. So that to me is just, there's too many things in there that it's not a coincidence
this sucks
anymore.
Okay, wait, hold on. Is there a way that I could stream in less high quality? Can I do that? Have it not be so much on my computer? It's just saying the internet's shit. God, I fucking hate this. All right, well, it's working now.
All right, that's good, because I felt like I was losing touch with reality for a second.
We all do whenever we look at the case. You know, it's just like, what kind of a world am I living in where this kind of stuff is possible?
Yeah. So, and y'all jump in anytime if you got something else you want to say. So when they got to the point about them sitting by the pool, obviously I was hoping that they were going to mention the Visions of Glory book that was under Lori's knee. There was no mention of the Visions of Glory book. I can totally understand that a secular national news story is going to have to keep the story focused, and that maybe that's a detail that they did a rabbit hole they didn't want to go down. But Lauren, you're raising your finger. Jump in, Lauren.
Keith did ask me a lot of questions about Visions of Glory.
Oh, wow.
And we did talk, and I read from the book, and he did talk about putting it in. I did hear before they didn't have room, but I do think that they were planning on it originally. Okay,
well, that's good to know. Because that's, I don't think we ever want to do an episode without calling out the fact that the one through line, well, there are a couple through lines through the Tim Ballard story, the Ruby, Frankie, and Joe, story, and the Chad and Lori Daybell story. I guess one through line is Jody Hildebrandt, but another through line is the Visions of Glory book and Tom Harrison. And until that book gets stamped out and killed and denounced and burned, and Tom Harrison is punished, not that we want anyone to be punished per se, but I think we all will continue agreeing that maybe our band should be called Visions of Glory, because until that book goes away, we're going to keep seeing true crime things happening.
That's crazy.
And a lot of this stuff comes from that book, that awful book that we know Tom Harrison is behind. Any disagreement or comments on that, or should I keep going? Got a couple more things.
I think we've done 8 hours on the book, but I'm always gonna call it out because it is harmful. It is tied to all these other people who have done horrible, atrocious things, and there are still people out there who think it's a great book. There are a couple of YouTube channels out there right now where they read the book and talk about it. And I think I've addressed this somewhere, but I don't remember where. So forgive me if I'm repeating myself. But I think one of the reasons why Mormons especially like that book is because it validates some of their beliefs and it makes them feel a little bit better about believing the way that they do about the end times and about the life after this one. So I think people who like it are biased to like it because it confirms the things that they believe, but there's so much harmful in it. And again, it glorifies justifiable homicide just like the Book of Mormon does. I just think Visions of Glory needs to go away forever.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, it's sort of this apocalyptic Mormon Christian fan fiction end of times scenario from a Mormon perspective, where calamity comes to the earth and people who store up food and weapons and ammunition are saved, and they all culminated in Salt Lake City, and Jesus and Joseph Smith come to the temple that's in Rubbles or the visitor center, and it's just a millennial Mormon / Christian apocalypse porn wrapped into a book that unfortunately just a lot of people believe. So
I'm seeing a comment by Rose here, and she says nothing is harmful in the book. What about the part I read to Keith Morrison where it says that in the last days we get to act as God and kill people if we see that they're dark? I mean, that's kind of like not the greatest. And of course, go ahead.
What a ridiculous position Rose has. Rose, I like to be respectful to my viewers and listeners. Rose says nothing is harmful in the book.
Okay, let me just say the quote then. Okay, let me just say the quote from the end of the book that says, as they were going around gathering people, they would come up against these groups that would want to fight them and would want to combat them. And they could tell whether or not those groups of people were righteous. They could tell whether or not those groups of people were going to repent or not. So here you have someone who's not God, who's not Jesus, judging the hearts and the intents of other people. And if that was not bad enough, what they say is that we could tell if they were past feeling, if they were not going to repent. And if they were not going to repent, we were free to deliver them from mortality. In other words, we were free to kill them if we believed they were never going to repent. And their death would be a blessing to them, because then they couldn't rack up any more sin on their divine ledger. If that's not harmful, explain to me how. It makes me angry.
We lit up Megan. Megan's on fire. We got caffeinated Megan here.
You have angry Megan. You have Megan who has listened to people try to defend and justify this book that literally says it's okay to kill people. My family members are dead because of that book. Tell me how that's okay. Oop. It's not.
Yeah.
Oop.
Thank you, Megan.
Oop.
All right. Well, I'll jump now to, for me, one of the most bothersome parts of the whole interview. I think it was when an investigator was being interviewed towards the end, and he said this crime was about money, sex, and power, and that religion was only tangential. Y'all probably knew that I was going to not like that. I'm going to just highlight really quickly the Mormon teachings that I think, some of the Mormon teachings that I think contributed to these murders. The belief that Mormons are special, that they're special above all other people on the world, and that individuals can be so special that they're favorites of God, chosen to usher in the second coming.
Right now?
Like that.
What are you lost on? Winter Gaming, are you still there? It's kind of a lot of context, and unless you fucking kind of have been following, it's like a lot. But essentially, there's this like kind of side book that is like one of the teachings of like Mormonism, which is fucking God, I fucking suck at this. That it's not like a literal person, it's just like a side person that happens to be Mormon that also wrote a book, but because like it's a book from another Mormon, a bunch of other Mormons read it, like it's kind of like a literal cult thing. And so like they use the book as an excuse to pretty much kill people, which is just true. Like it's connected to the Ruby Frankie case, and it's connected to the Lori Vallow case, and so that's why they're saying that this book is literally used to kill people, quite literally, as an excuse to kill them, which is why people like Lori Vallow, who's like hyper delusional, think that they're like a chosen fucking being to God himself, and that they're gonna like pretty much walk out of jail as like these fucking hierarchy beings that are just gonna survive and live forever and ever and ever. That's the TLDR on it. So yeah, that is the TLDR. Hopefully that makes sense. Sorry, my nose is fucking itchy.
It's very Mormon.
Oh, that's because I'm new to all this? Yeah, I can't really TLDR the Lori Vallow case. But essentially, like, dude, it was one of those things, like, I think about, like, the era of, like, COVID crimes. And by that, I mean, like, the stuff that happened during COVID that, sorry, not the stuff, I shouldn't say stuff. The crimes that went on during COVID, like, when Ruby Frankie got caught, a lot of that stuff happened over, like, the COVID era. Like, I was watching the documentary about that, and it was essentially, like, it became, like, they had this, earthquake in, like, April of 2020, or maybe it was, like, February of 2020, or something. It was something, like, very similar to it, and they said, like, the end times was coming, and then everything shut down, right, for COVID, and so they thought that was the end time, so they became, like, these crazy preppers, and I don't know if you know what preppers are, but people that pretty much, again, plan for the end times, because if you're in any religion, or if you're in, like, anything similar to that pretty much reads the Bible, you know about, like, the book of Revelations, right? And the book of Revelations is pretty much literally the end times. Like, everything goes to hell. I remember there was this, like, series that, I can't remember what it was called, like, The Last something or something, and it was, like, about all that stuff. And, dude, fucking Christians loved that series. It was literally about, like, the Revelations, like, the time frame of Revelations, but it was, like, this, like, movie video series, right? And that's what these people get sold on, is all these kind of, like, apocalyptic, I'm doing the fucking work of God, obviously, right? But a lot of these people ruin people's lives. Like, Chad Daybell, who was this random dude that, like, was on a fucking book that talked about, you know, this, he talked about, like, all these, sorry, I'm kind of, like, briefly explaining these, but explain, like, this hyper-apocalyptic, you know, mindset and learning and teaching, and it explained that, like, pretty much, like, God's chosen one to, it's always the chosen ones, right? So Chad Daybell was that, and he sold Lori Daybell on that, and Lori is obviously fucking out of her fucking mind, but Lori was still married to her husband, and Charles or something along those lines, in Arizona, and he was still married to his wife in some other fucking state, Idaho, I think. And so, pretty much, long story short, they end up dead. The kids end up dead. Like, Lori's kids end up dead, like her two younger ones. and like, but it's like, it all goes back to them being like demons. They're demons or zombies, and it was the same type of thinking that they applied to Ruby Frankie's kids. They were demons. They were demons. They were demons. If you look in her journal writings, they're all demons. It's like this crazy fucking like teaching that just keeps happening. So that's why this lady, who's literally the cousin of Lori Daybell, is like, yeah, no, you can't just tell me that this doesn't have any fucking dangerous teaching when like my family members are dead because of this. So yeah. Sorry, that was a lot. Oh shit, I can't do that. Discard. Do. Sorry, I'm trying to find something. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa, it got crazy out there. Whoa. Sorry, it's like pouring outside right now. Alright, I'm back. We're gonna do this, right? I'm gonna see if I can fuck with the fucking...
It comes from Isaiah, it comes from the Doctrine and Covenants, the whole one mighty and strong stuff, and just the whole Mormon Christian exceptionalism stuff. I think that contributes to Chad and Lori's delusions. I think the belief in Mormonism that your thoughts and feelings are the Holy Ghost.
How are you doing?
That comes right out of the Book of Mormon when Nephi is told to chop Laban's head off because he gets the thought or the feeling that he should. This idea that the Holy Ghost speaks to you through your thoughts and your feelings is absolutely a recipe for crime and murder, because we all have dangerous or disturbing thoughts. As someone who has a PhD in psychology, who studied OCD, we have all of us have horrendous thoughts that come into our brain or horrendous feelings that come into our mind at one point or another. And if at any point we're under the delusion that those might be God or divine angels speaking to us, horrible things can happen just by that alone. The idea that our bodies can be possessed by evil spirits, which then led to the zombie derivation.
This was I'm watching stuff about Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell right now. It's on a Mormon Stories podcast. Lori Vallow did a interview, and so I watching I can't speak right now. Why can't I speak? Oh, we're watching them talk about the interview because they have like the background knowledge of like the case and stuff. So. I have to reset. Oh, it was the computer. Never mind, I don't have to reset. It's just the fucking computer. Hold on, give me a second. You guys weren't hearing that, right? Okay, you guys weren't hearing that. It was just me. My computer is not having it. Alright, let's try it again. I just need to get my connector for this, or just a better computer in general. Oh, why is it doing this to me? Ooh, what if I do this? Hold on, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Oh god, Shaggy's barking.
Doctrine.
Hold on, 1 second. Okay, there we go. I think it's good. Everything's good. You guys don't hear any noise, right? It's just my fucking spazzy ass microphone. Okay.
Was clearly behind this. If there wasn't the belief that evil spirits are among us and that they can possess bodies, which is a very Mormon and a very Christian teaching, which is also very much reinforced in the.
Okay, let's go back a little bit. Sorry. Okay, I'm back. I'm here.
Holy Ghost that comes right out of the Book of Mormon when Nephi is told to chop Laban's head off because he gets the thought or the feeling that he should. This idea that the Holy Ghost speaks to you through your thoughts and your feelings is absolutely a recipe for crime and murder, because we all have dangerous or disturbing thoughts. As someone who has a PhD in psychology, who studied OCD, we have all of us have horrendous thoughts that come into our brain, or horrendous feelings that come into our mind at one point or another. And if at any point we're under the delusion that those might be God or divine angels speaking to us, horrible things can happen just by that alone. The idea that our bodies can be possessed by evil spirits, which then led to the zombie derivation doctrine, was clearly behind this. If there wasn't the belief that evil spirits are among us and that they can possess bodies, which is a very Mormon and a very Christian teaching, which is also very much reinforced in the Visions of Glory book, by the way, but Jesus himself teaches it in the New Testament. It's in the Doctrine and Covenants. It's in the Mormon Temple Ceremony. Joseph Smith taught it himself. Without the teaching of demonic and spirit possession, these murders very well might not have happened. The idea that death is no big deal, that we should celebrate death because we get to go to a better place in the afterlife, that comes straight from Joseph Smith, and it dismisses the value of life if the next life is more precious. I was a 15-year-old thinking, wait, let me get this straight. If we murder babies before they come to this earth, according to Joseph Smith, they all go immediately to the celestial kingdom. But if we let all those babies mature to adulthood and then they sin and then they don't go to the celestial kingdom, the most charitable thing we can do with babies is murder them to guarantee their, and I thought that as a faithful, Orthodox, believing Mormon 14 or 15-year-old. So the idea that death has no sting is absolutely a Mormon and a Christian doctrine, and I think it leads to helps contribute to these types of crimes and murders.
Oh, this is what
the
I
idea
forgot.
That we all lived as spirits before we came here, and that there might be multiple mortal probations, that we could live on the earth multiple times, and the idea that there's polygamy. Those are all mortal teachings. Those are all very Mormon teachings. Joseph Smith not only taught polygamy, he practiced it. Mormon apostles, prophets, seers, and revelators have taught about probations and about eternal progression. Again, without the teachings of polygamy, without the teachings of spirit, eternal progression, Lori and Chad wouldn't have been able to have these deluded beliefs that maybe they knew each other in former lives, and that maybe they were meant to be together with Tammy in some sort of celestial, throuple. Those teachings wouldn't have been possible without Joseph Smith's teachings of polygamy and eternal progression and spirit persistence in the plan of salvation. The idea that any of us could have spiritual powers to speak with the dead, to know the future, to know God's will, just that teaching of spiritual power, or that we can get visits from God or Jesus, gives people too much power to then be able to prey on other vulnerable people, like Chad clearly likely did with Lori and others, saying, I speak with God, I have special powers, I'm the one mighty and strong, I have spiritual gifts, you need to listen to me. This very well might not have happened if there weren't the belief about spiritual gifts. And basically religions that denounce evidence, that denounce reality, and that instead prop up supernatural spiritual worldviews, predisposes religious believers to devalue and dismiss evidence, and instead to have conspiratorial mindsets that are not rooted in evidence and rooted in reality.
Look at that pickle,
but are
bro.
rooted in spiritual.
Hold on. Look at that. Look at this dope ass pickle. Oh yeah, he's pickling. We getting pickled up in this bitch, bro. Let's go. What's this? Does this have a different style or something? Oh, it's so going down. The only thing I hate about this is that I get confused which one I'm using if I'm using the other bat, but this is red, so now I'm gonna be able to see it more, because that was actually driving me fucking nuts. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm back. I'm here. Hello.
Logical fantasy. Those are at play here. And then finally, it's very Mormon to believe, even though the Articles of Faith says we believe in honoring, obeying, and sustaining the law, the Mormon Church has a long history of disobeying the law and believing that prophets, seers, revelators in the church are above the law. And whether that's the secret polygamy that was going on, the post-manifesto polygamy, this idea of bleeding the beast, there's a long history of lying for the Lord. Gerardo, were you going to jump in and say something?
The SEC violations.
Yeah, the SEC violations, the Ensign Peak, hiding our wealth from the members and from the world, masking and deceiving the IRS and the SEC with its finances. The Mormon Church has a long history of deceiving and lying and breaking the law, thinking that God's ways and the prophets' ways are higher, and the Lord's ways are higher than man's ways. And if that's all true, then why wouldn't members believe that they can also violate, deceive, break the law, and lie for the Lord when they get these thoughts and these impressions that come into their brain? So in all of these ways,
we're supposed to get the sun,
and in many,
so
many
we'll
more,
see how it goes.
I do not think these murders happen with Shruggy Chad Daybell and,
shoot, I got turned the other way.
We want to say Vixen Lori Vallow. Like, otherwise they're just pedestrian, kind of loser people that are broken and fraudulent and marginalized and discredited. It's
calling them crazy, like calling them loser people is actually kind of fucking funny, to be honest. They're just fucking losers. I mean, he's not wrong. He's definitely not fucking wrong. What I'm gonna try to do is try to see if I could fix this where I have it the other way around, but it might make me restart my fucking bullshit, which is really obnoxious. I actually need to figure out how to change the graphics on this, but I don't know if I know how to. Kind of a lot of extra steps. Anyways, I need to get a keyboard that I can press pause and hold on 1 second. Press pause and play on.
It's the secret ingredient of super dangerous, and I would add deadly, theological, spiritual, and religious beliefs that that turn this series of events from just silly prepper apocalyptic LARPing to the death of at least 4, if not more, 4, 5, 6 people. That's my view. It seems like over 70% of you voted that these murders would not have happened.
I gained an outlaw
without
card.
the Mormon component.
Who the fuck
that's
is
my
shooting
rant.
at me?
Sorry, I went on that rant. Who wants to jump in and disagree with me, or agree with me, or share your own perspectives?
Well,
I get one rant. Can I have one rant per episode?
I love your rants, John.
I will just say
Good
job,
that
John.
Lots of people have asked me, does Lori get here without Chad? Does Chad get here without Lori? And I think the answer to that is it's hard to say, of course, right? I think Lori had always talked about the next life being better. She, Colby detailed the story where she talked about driving all 3 of them off a cliff. and Tylee saying, yeah, go ahead and do it, Mom, because she was young enough where she didn't really understand the implications of that. So does Lori get here without Chad? I think it's really possible, yes. I can't answer whether Chad gets there without Lori, but I don't think either one of them gets there without the beliefs that you just described, John. So I'm just going to agree with you in that way.
Lauren and Gerardo, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Unless you want to go first, Gerardo.
You can
Go ahead,
go.
Lauren.
I hear you, John. I think it was so funny because I was actually making a list of very specific LDS beliefs, but you did a much more thorough list than I did. So I concur with what you stated.
Why am I sucking right now?
Because
I'm like delayed 2
want
seconds.
to take it further though, and this is an interesting part for me because I'm going to get those that are ex-LDS
there we go.
thinking I'm
Jesus
an
Christ.
apologist, and those that are of any other Christian
way too
denomination,
difficult.
they're going to be offended by this. But I want to broaden
Who the fuck is
this.
shooting at
I
me,
am
bro?
actually not going to be an apologist for the LDS Church because I don't think anyone should ever be an apologist when children are being murdered. And I
Amen.
actually concur
You
with
tell 'em.
what you said, John. But here's my but.
I love it.
I
Bro, I
don't
just got
think
raped.
I could not say that this goes further than LDS beliefs. I want to read you guys some headlines. This is Thursday, May 12th, 2022. Mother
I got
accused of
my
killing her
booze. What's
children in
up?
West Hills,
Hey,
California,
hold
believe
on.
they represent-
You know what I'm gonna do? Hold on. 10 seconds, okay? Let me. What's good? What's good, bro? What's good, bro? Okay, I don't need any of this stuff. Okay, confirm. Cool. Alright. Settings? Ooh. Alright. Let me go to this real quick. 1 second, you guys. Why is this open? It's annoying. I'm Catholic, therefore Irish. Is that a thing? Ooh. Hold on. I think I did it. Okay. Okay, hold on. So when I do this... Oh, it's still not fucking... Oh, can I do it this way? Hold on, you guys. Don't freeze on me, please. Hold on, you guys. I'm gonna see if I can switch this real quick. Okay, one more. That's this one. Okay, done. And then... Wait. Okay, hold on. We're just gonna do this. I'm gonna actually keep it a little bit bigger because the way my shit's been working. Hold on. Okay. Everybody ready? Let's go. All right, cool. Cool. Sorry. Okay, we're here. We're following. God damn
Possessed
it.
by demons. Beautiful woman, blonde, looks just like Lori. Accused of killing her 3 young children inside her West Hills, California home, believing they were possessed by demons. Her teenage son helped her do it. We have Matthew Coleman, a surf teacher.
Fuck my life.
Surf teacher who killed both of his children by taking them across the border. San Diego surf teacher to cross the border to Mexico, killing them both because they had serpent DNA. And we have a young girl. This was one we covered. Heartbreaking. Claudia Hernandez murdered her child along. Arlie was her name. She was 3 years old.
I'm back.
Her father and brother in a hours-long exorcism inside
Jesus
of
Christ.
the church that the family owned, and tortured her and forcibly grabbed her neck, torso back, smothering her repeatedly, tried to pry open her mouth to remove the demon, and killed her. So my point being is, and I brought up terrorism and extreme beliefs. If we pinpoint extreme beliefs to one religion, we're not doing justice to extreme beliefs in general. And thus I am broadening the criticism. I am not excusing it, because it is not okay to see this happening over and over and over again. But extreme beliefs are dangerous, and they seem to be more prominent these days with conspiracy theories online and not seeing evidence for what it is. And it is in the Bible that children are possessed. And you know, it is in
Also, hi MedMax. I am playing Fortnite. Hi everybody. Share screen. Share the stream. All that good stuff. It's raining, so we vibing. I don't know if I have anything else to say, other than hello. And yeah, all that other good stuff.
QAnon believes that demon serpent DNA exists. Their extreme beliefs are happening, and if we don't look at evidence, I just feel like it's a broader conversation to discuss. And Christianity is susceptible. Any religion is susceptible to extreme beliefs, and when you start to believe in magical thinking, anything, crime can and does happen over and over and over again. And that's why I'm broadening this conversation, because it's not okay, and religions are susceptible to this. And I'm not discounting the specific LDS theology, John, that you brought up, but I do want to say there's theology in many sects of Christianity, and they should not be discounted.
Absolutely. Amen. And there can be new age woo, new age weirdness that can lead to apocalyptic things. Non-Christian traditions can also have it. Secular people can have dangerous views. So it's not like I'm even anti-religion. I think we all just want to see religions clean up their act, get rid of the harm, and then just keep doing good. I think we all have that motivation. I don't think any of us consider ourselves anti-Mormon or anti-Christian. I just think we want to see less harm being done.
I know, just like this, JJ Smith, don't lump Jesus Christ into this mess. No, I am. He removed serpent. He removed Jesus Christ. And I have identified him as a Christian myself in other episodes. He did exorcisms on people, and he removed evil spirits. And if we can't look at this in a broader area, if you are putting your blinders on and deciding that it is only one thing to blame, then you're doing a disservice to this issue as a whole. I hope that all of us are humble enough to look at our own belief system here, and to see how maybe we can step back and realize that any belief system can be very dangerous. It can also be beautiful. Christ also taught love one another and to not judge. He also did exorcisms. So I just think we need to be honest with what we believe, and how in the wrong hands, beliefs can be extreme and very dangerous.
Yeah, and I'll just, that's so powerful. And you are Christian, Lauren, so it's not like you're hating on Christ. And by the way, for those who haven't thought about this a little bit, you can still believe Jesus was divine, but maybe just whoever wrote the Bible got that story about Jesus casting the evil spirits out of the man, and then the evil spirits go into the pigs, and then the pigs run off the cliff. Like, you can still believe Jesus was divine and just say, hey, maybe whoever wrote the Bible got that story wrong. Maybe they interpreted it wrong.
Yeah, it's interpretation. It's interpretation, and trust me, the LDS faith that I was raised in never talked about harming children or casting, demons in children. I know, and I'm talking for myself, not others in the LDS faith. So let me clarify. Like, That was my interpretation growing up. That doesn't mean others weren't taught those beliefs. But as you point out, it's all interpretation, and we just have to understand that extreme beliefs start in a magical belief system, and it might be interpretation. And if it's interpretation, are you interpreting it wrong? If it's interpretation, should we like process this together and talk about this and explain how like one belief that might be beautiful to you and make your life better could be really damaging to somebody else? Like that's the conversation to be had.
Yeah, we have to be able
That's
to
just
have it.
fair. Yeah.
Well said,
I
Lauren.
agree. And I just want to add to, to what you're saying, Lauren, too, that, I totally agree with what you're saying. And thank you for the challenge for all of us to examine our beliefs and to see where they might be harmful to someone else. I guarantee you, every single one of us has a belief right now, whether it's religious or otherwise, that's harmful or damaging to someone else. The other thing I want to point out is that religion, and particularly high demand religion, is dangerous in the hands of mentally ill people. And so I will just say people with personality disorders, people with narcissistic tendencies, people with traits of narcissism, all of those people are going to have an element of extremism to any religion that they come to. And so, that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about educating people about narcissism and manipulation and coercive control tactics, because in the hands of the wrong people, religion and other high demand systems can become really problematic for people with these types of traits. So we need to all be aware of what the traits are and how to defend against them. And we all need to be aware of our own traits that tend to narcissism. We all have jealousy, spite, anger, all of these things that made Lori and Chad what they are. We all have elements of that in ourselves. And if we don't confront those traits and address them and learn how to be healthier and to interact in healthier ways with people, we're all in danger of harming someone.
Absolutely.
And sorry, I just keep going back. I think this is maybe just like, I just want to say this too, there was somebody, it was pointed out in the chat, and I'm going to read it. Rose, I think we called Rose out earlier, but I actually have compassion for this comment. Rose, she says, is Lauren LDS? Is she not going to stand up for our faith? And so I want to say something too. I think I might be the only one that still remains LDS with my membership here. Not that I want to really talk too much about my personal beliefs. That's something I steer clear of. I just always make it known sort of when covering this case, because I feel it's only fair to be journalistic and honest. The LDS faith that I grew up in could never have fathomed this
I'm
case.
pretty.
And if you want
you're
to
petty?
know why I have
I'm
been
petty. Yeah,
obsessed
I'm
with
petty.
this case for 5.5 years,
P.
it's because when I opened the first AP article that I read was The Wire.
Bro, we gotta
about
find that clip.
children.
Hold on, I'll find it in a
I
second.
saw a Deseret book author and a beautiful blonde woman who looked like all of my friends' moms growing up, and they were like, we're looking for these two and they're missing children. I thought, what in the world? And I couldn't, that was December 2019. And I, at that moment, realized I have to figure this out and I have to understand it, because there is no way that this is happening in the faith that I know and that I love, that gave me comfort as a child, that made me feel like Jesus Christ loved me, and that, my family was going to be together forever and taught to be kind. We're all brothers and sisters. Like, this is foreign to me. And so for the past 5.5 years, I have been trying to understand this to the point where we're here today. And I have been a true journalist, and I have discovered all of those things you just stated, John, that are my beliefs that I grew up with, that like maybe I didn't process, that I refused to see, that I had blinders on. And I found some deep humility in the way that I was raised versus other people versus what my faith really did and does teach. And I have opened myself to understanding how certain beliefs that I maybe thought were beautiful can actually be really, really harmful. And that's been really valuable for me. And I would hope that anyone here with any belief they have, whether you are evangelical or Mormon or ex-Mormon, that like we have enough humility when people are starting to be harmed over and over and over again, that we take a look at how, even if it would never affect us, and even if the book Visions of Glory inspired you, because I think it has inspired people, and they didn't read that one, thing, and even if the Book of Mormon has inspired you, Laban and Lemuel, and that story is in there too. It's problematic. The Bible has a lot of problematic stories. Like, pretty much. Even if you think no, it's it's the other person's problem. It's the Mormons who aren't Christian. It's this crazy offshoot of Mormonism. It's Christianity. I mean, it's so easy to say that it's not our belief.
That's honestly what I should fund for. Is
that if
fucking
children
better
are being murdered
system.
over and over again, and I read you a lot of headlines from a lot of different faiths, that maybe we just sit back and eat some humble pie and process how extreme beliefs happen and how maybe we can not be part of the problem, but help it.
Love it. Hey man, lots of love coming in the comments for you, Lauren, and for you, Megan. Gerardo, you can't get away without sharing your views on the Mormon Christian angle here. So give it to us.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's very little extra that I could say other than just agree with everybody here that, you know, definitely Mormonism played a key role in all of this, and the teachings, and you know, Lori and Chad's theology could not have been possible if Mormonism wasn't there. And you know, Mormonism it kind of had this perfect recipe with the perfect key elements to sustain a more, you know, crazy narrative or advanced theology that that Chad created and that Lori believed in, and that others believed in. You know, like Sulema and Alex and Melanie, they all believed in it, and they all were raised in mainstream LDS. So there was something there that brought this to happen. You know, and I agree with Lauren that there are these type of cases in a lot of other religions as well.
Jesus
it is
needs
kind
to
of
come back
interesting
with
that
the
Mormonism
belt.
keeps breeding this type
Listen,
of people.
look.
You know, we have Ruby Frankie, Jody
Listen, look.
Hildebrand, and
Listen,
other.
look, okay? This is how religious people end up with kinks, is when you start bringing out the belt, okay? Or the paddle. Wasn't it like the fucking Catholic schools, like the paddle? Or it's just like old-timey schools in general? I'm just saying, bro. You know what I'm saying? God bless, honestly. Bro, my fucking computer is so whack right now. I just feel bad that this every 5 seconds my fucking Fortnite is just like, it's just because Fortnite's such a fucking insane game on your fucking graphics card, honestly. And my graphics card is all figgity fucked right now. I need to just get a better system, better everything. I just need like 20k, okay? And then I'll be able to like have a house, get a good gaming system, buy internet for a year, and then just like start up. Right? And then I could talk about all the things I want to talk about, which isn't really much these days, to be honest. I haven't really been involved in any drama. I've been enjoying my time off of the drama. Of all the drama. The drama. So stupid. Ignore me. Gee, joke's on you. I already got him. Whatever, Max.
You know, we don't go by a few months without seeing a headline of a Mormon killing their spouse.
That's just facts.
And those sort of cases. So,
and Gerardo, if I could just add, I've had many clients come to me and tell me that, you know, either they received revelation that their spouse was going to die.
I got a 2009
Their spouse received revelation that they
Windows
were going to
XP.
Die. For some reason,
if that makes you feel better.
Very, very common in Mormonism. For spouse.
It doesn't make me feel better. What would make me feel better is a better computer. Oh my god, and my own internet that I could afford, and my own home that I could have with my dog. And a better computer that doesn't suck. B-E to the T-T-Y. Oh yeah, I'm petty. Fuck. I gotta find the fucking play button on here. Hold on. Which one is it? F4?
Just to receive revelation that the other is going to die. And oftentimes
can I do that on
insurance
here?
Policies
No, don't work on here.
accordingly. I just want to say it happens a lot. Not to mention all these deaths of wives of Mormon dentists. You know what I mean? Orthodontists. But go ahead, Gerardo. I just want to put it in there.
Yeah. Well, that's all. That's all I wanted to add.
Okay.
Yeah.
One piece
This thing has
that,
like
that
a
I think was
crazy
alluded
2 second
to
delay.
that I would add to my rant is the belief that the response to the behavior that is coming from allegedly demonic possession isn't taking them to the ER or to the behavioral health unit or to the psychiatrist. It's priesthood blessings. Like we know that Jody Hildebrandt, when she claimed she was having demonic possessions, they didn't take her to the uni up at the University of Utah to admit her to the psych ward. What did they do? They called the Mormon bishop.
Yeah,
And
that's
the
crazy.
Mormon bishop tried to heal her, and he couldn't. We know that they were calling Brad, I always forget his name. What's the young men's presidency member?
Brad Wilcox.
They were calling Brad Wilcox. They were calling Jeremy Yagi, a general authority for the Mormon Church. They were having Kevin Franke perform priesthood blessings. If you or your loved one is experiencing demonic possession, take them to the ER. Take them
That's
to
just true.
the behavioral health unit at your local hospital. Do not call your ministering elders. Do not call your home teachers. Don't call your bishop.
Yeah, they're not
Don't call
fucking
grandpa.
qualified at
Don't call
all.
the patriarch. Take them to the ER. You
Yep.
can save a life that way. Those children of Ruby Frankie's may not have been tortured if Jody Hildebrandt had been taken to the uni at the University of Utah. And
Yep.
these children and these adults may not have died if
It's just
Zulema
true.
or Melanie or whoever, once they heard Chad or Lori talking about spirits and possessions and light and dark and zombies, if they just hadn't been turned into the police or taken to the loony bin, to the mental health units. I think we've made the point. Okay. To close out this interview, there were a couple other dark or weird things that I noted. One was just this revelation that for both the deaths of JJ and Ty Lee, the investigators felt like they were two-person jobs. Was that
Wow.
That probably wasn't news to any of you? Is that correct? That for everyone on the panel, it was pretty obvious that both of those murders were likely to be, and probably, I don't know about Tammy, but did y'all agree that both the JJ and the Ty Lee murders were likely two-people jobs?
Yes, and they said that about Tammy as well. And my Uncle Rex pointed out that Alex was pretty incompetent unless he had help, you know. And so he was alone in the attempted shooting of Brandon Boudreaux. He was alone in the initial attempted shooting of Tammy, and he messed both of those up. But anytime he had help, he was successful.
That's crazy.
Wow, that's a good point.
Anything you want to add to that, Lauren?
No. Yeah, what Megan said.
I'm getting called out for using the term loony bin. It's just a little bit of rhetoric. Of course, I mean, like I said, the behavioral
Mental
health
health
unit
facility,
of your local
yeah.
hospital or a psychiatrist. I was doing a little bit of rhetoric.
Quack.
You said a house better off living in the wild. Listen, I almost did an Into the Wild moment when I was a teenager, okay? I packed all my shit up to run away from home, and my dad convinced my pastor, unironically enough, who also was somebody I was hanging out with quite a bit, to talk me back into going home, and so I did. True story. But I was like hyper inspired by that fucking, God, fuck my life. By that story and movie that I was gonna do it for real. You know what I'm about to do is just get rid of this and then stream on Twitch, and then just play the Twitch stream on play the Twitch stream on the computer. Would you guys be against that at all? I think it would just be better quality, honestly. This shit fucking sucks. I can't play at all. And then I would be dual streaming. I would just tell people to go listen to like my commentary on, yeah, let's fucking fuck this shit, dude. Fuck this shit. Hold on.
House. Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, there you go. Sorry.
What about the part where Lori says to Keith, when I'm proven to be right, I'm going to tell you I told you so. So there was sort of this hubris that she had. Maybe we've already made enough points about Lori, but there's that just moment where she's like, someday when you see that I'm right, Jesus is going to save me and Chad, and then I'm going to say I told you so, Keith. That was just a little bit over the top for me.
Yeah.
Maybe we've already made that point enough. Feel free.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I mean, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
Oh, please, Megan.
No, I just want to say, yeah, I mean, yeah, we've made we've made the point. So sorry.
Yeah. And then maybe really disturbing was the end when there's this joke about dancing and Keith says you're very good at dancing, I think, to Lori, and Lori basically says, when I'm exonerated, when all this is over, maybe I'll go on Dancing with the Stars. Like, we're talking about deaths of her own children, of people close, of her own former husband, of other people, to make jokes about going on Dancing with the Stars was just so dark. It was such a powerful way to end the interview.
It also made me wonder if she has been following or heard about these other type of fraudster figures, you know, like Anna Delvey, who have gone out of jail and going Dancing with the Stars. But that's just something I wonder when she said that.
Yeah, it's just another. It's another testament to me that she really believes that people love her, and that she really believes that she's going to be exonerated, get out of prison someday, and be a celebrity, and everyone's going to worship her.
Yeah.
Lauren, any other final comments regarding any of that?
No, concur.
Something that we didn't touch, John, was the idea. Well, when she denies the doctrine of light and dark and zombies. Didn't that happen where she's asking? She says, "No, we don't believe that, or that didn't happen. Chad didn't make it as light or dark."
I did notice that. I just chalked that up to her lying and denying all the facts. Lauren and Megan, did y'all have any other reactions to that?
It was interesting. If anything, I think it shows a little bit of even more deception with her, because she did once mention, she mentioned in Colby's interview with him too, that she's like, "I've never mentioned zombies. That's not my thing." And if you look back at her text, she'll refer to them as Z's.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, was she really trying to avoid responsibility here? Like, she knew what that meant and she wasn't texting it, because she certainly believed in it. We've had witnesses testifying, like Melanie Gibbs, that she actually absolutely called Tylee a zombie, and that Melanie Gibbs was there when Chad Daybell called Lori to say, "Hey, by the way, Charles Vallow is Ned Schneider, in other words, a zombie." So I think it's kind of fascinating to think, like, is she just trying to, like, avoid that word? And then the light and dark scale that was taught to her, I think, by Chad. We have emails from Chad, and it says, "Per your request, Lori, here's your whole family history," and then he labels each person light or dark, complete with decimal points, and it starts with, like, "This is what you requested." So if she's not openly preaching it, she certainly believes it. But I have wondered, like, is she trying to avoid talking about light and dark and zombies to kind of claim like she doesn't believe this? It's an interesting idea.
There's also this would be speculative, of course, and maybe a little bit conspiratorial, but it did remind me a little bit of when the LDS Church on their website says, "We don't believe that people are gonna have their own planets," kind of things, or like the idea that when you're talking to other people about your theology, you have to talk to them about the milk before the meat, because if you talk about these terms like that, they're not going to understand it because they're not spiritual enough.
Or it'll make the church look bad, right?
Right. Yeah. So there's this kind of denial, even though they actually believe that they might become gods and create their own planets.
Yeah. All right. Well, really quickly, what can we see? Lori's going to be representing herself in this trial coming up. Lauren and Megan, I imagine y'all will be covering it closely. We'd love to have you back at important points. We, of course, want to remind everyone to please subscribe to Hidden True Crime YouTube channel. Please subscribe to Third Verse / Midlife Revolution.
All right. So let's try to do this real quick, you guys. I'm sorry. There's so many fucking steps. Let me do this. Sorry. All right. All right. Let me see this. We're gonna get there, you guys.
Megan Connor YouTube channel. They're both important channels. Please support their good work. Lauren and Megan, will y'all be covering, I imagine, Lori's trial? And is there anything you want to say about the prospects, knowing that she's going to be representing herself?
Yeah, I'm glad you're bringing up the trial. I think that a lot of people are very fascinated for stuff, I want to say, because Lori is representing herself, and that's certainly intriguing. I'm just with everyone else, like, this is going to be quite the show. Like, what is going to happen? But I also think this is about justice for Charles Vallow. And some people say, well, it doesn't matter because she's behind bars forever. I mean, justice is a theological, this justice isn't necessarily like, oh, she's behind bars forever. What's this going to do? Is she going to be punished more? Justice isn't about punishment. Justice is about the belief in, like, acknowledging that what happened to Charles, isn't okay, and for her being held responsible, whether she's already serving 3 consecutive life sentences or not. And Charles Vallow sounded the alarm. And if people had listened to him, he, no, JJ and Tylee would still be alive. And Kay Woodcock, that is Charles Vallow's sister, she has stated, he was the first one murdered, but she has stated that Charles would have wanted it this way. He would have said, make sure that Tylee and JJ and the children and Tammy get justice first, worry about me later. And that's would have been what Charles would have said and who he was. And this trial is important for justice for Charles. And I also think that we might see some really different evidence in this trial. The evidence that has come out already of Chandler, Arizona and Gilbert, Arizona is much different than what the evidence is in Idaho. You have text messages between the Cox families, Summer and Janice and Lori, all discussing and seemingly possibly what did they know, what did they not know. It's going to be very interesting. And of course, with Lori representing herself, I'm very intrigued. I haven't seen her get angry in court yet, but seeing how angry she got towards Keith Morrison, asking all of the questions we want to know. I wonder how long it's going to be before she loses it in court. So yeah, I plan to be there. I'm actually also heading to Arizona for a hearing this week. And so I'll be seeing you there, Megan, and everyone else covering the trial.
Rebecca Lovelace, our friend, is asking when is the trial? Hey, Rebecca, we love having you with us.
All right.
Lauren, Megan, when is the trial again?
So Lori has a status conference on Tuesday, and then jury selection is scheduled to begin on the 31st of March. Prosecution has said jury selection should take 2 weeks, but possibly 3, just because they don't know how Lori's going to behave during that, not really knowing the process and the rules. And then the prosecution has said they probably will take about 2 weeks to present their case, but we don't have an estimate yet from Lori on how long she thinks she will take. So yes, the fact she's representing herself is interesting, and she has been respectful of the judge in the process so far. She's filed several motions, all of which have been denied so far. I think Tuesday we're going to hear about the judge. The judge is going to rule on the motion about whether or not to allow Court TV to have cameras in the courtroom and to live stream the trial. So we'll hear about that on Tuesday, and then we'll hear the judge actually has denied all of Lori's motions so far to dismiss the case. And so we'll have to wait and see. I agree with you, Lauren. She has been even-tempered so far, but knowing how she responded to Keith's questions, I think it's pretty likely that she could get activated enough that the judge is going to say, sorry, you're going to have to be reassigned counsel and you're not going to be allowed to represent yourself anymore, depending on how she goes.
Yeah. Does she want Court TV to be there?
She does not. She's very angry with Court TV. She says that Court TV has been exploiting her and her husband for a 24/7 commercial, and that Court TV is taking advantage of people and, exploiting them for the tragedies that happen in their lives. And now we know a little bit more insight on what she means by that. She basically is asserting that it's been a tragedy that she's lost so many people in her life, and that the media likes to twist it and turn it into a crime.
Well, I promised all our super chatters that I would go through their questions or comments and share them. Hopefully I'll do it really fast. I want to remind everyone, please like this episode. We've got still 4,600 people joined. Please like this episode. Please comment on it. Please subscribe to Mormon Stories Podcast. Please share this. It will really help get the word out.
I think only 2,000 people have liked the episode, and there's over almost 5,000 people watching.
Yeah, so please take the time really quick to like this episode.
Tell him.
Gerardo's been doing some analytics, and he can show that likes and comments are what drive the success of an episode. Really quickly, Lauren and Megan and Gerardo, you've already given us 3 hours. If y'all want or need to drop off, I will let you do that now. unless you want to stay on and respond to a few of these super chats. Lauren, do you need to run? Or are you going to stick around?
I'll stick around for a bit. I might sneak out for a little restroom break, but I'll just
okay.
Yeah, but I won't. Yeah.
Megan, you okay?
I'm the same. I may have to sneak out for a restroom break, but I'll stick around.
Gerardo, you all right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do these super chats hopefully really quick because we really appreciate the donations that make all this possible. So Destoni Salazar says Keith's body language was telling, seemed like he couldn't wait to leap out of his seat. And I'm gonna ask you guys as panelists, just jump in if you've got responses, or I'll just jump on to the next episode. Troublemaker Baker says these are great observations from Megan. Also, I think Troublemaker Baker is also Broken Baker on YouTube. I'm told that Broken Baker
Fuck.
when he finished his own
I'm out of
episode
fucking
about this stuff, he
I
pointed
gotta get
people in
out
our
of the
direction.
way.
And if that's true,
Troublemaker Baker is actually a moderator on
Oh.
my channel,
Oh,
and it's a she, and she actually does have a channel as well, but it is Troublemaker Baker channel.
got it. Okay, well, thanks to Troublemaker Baker for her support. We really appreciate it. And also thank you to Broken Baker for their support. Really quickly, I told y'all that Nathan Hinckley was doing a service project and fixing up the home of Anna Schreier, the Assemblies of God slash what's the term? Pentecostal, yeah, story that we had. This is a photo of the chimney before Nathan's work, and I believe his son's helping him out, maybe his wife. This is them working on it. And while we've been doing this episode, this is them finishing the job.
Oh, wow.
And then this is them
Beautiful.
outside. This is Nathan, and I'm assuming family members along with Anna Schreier there in the middle.
That's cool.
Again, we're sharing this just as a way to share some light and some happiness in an otherwise dark episode. I want to thank Nathan. He's got a channel called The Bishop's Interview on YouTube. And we want to thank Nathan and his family for bringing a little light into the world. So thanks again for that, everyone. All right, we'll go back to the comments. Miss Mojo Rising says, do you feel she resented, blamed Tylee and JJ for holding her back, aka Lori didn't want to be an actor? I'm not exactly sure I understand. Other than Megan, it looks like Miss Mojo Rising is just feeling like Lori wanted more out of her life, and that maybe Tylee and JJ were getting in the way. What do you think about that theory, Megan?
Yeah, so she did want to be a model. She actually did some modeling in her late teenage years, you know, had a portfolio and all of that. I don't know about her wanting to be an actor, but it wouldn't surprise me if she wanted to be famous. And I do think that there is an element in the relationship between her and Tylee where she was threatened by Tylee's beauty, she was threatened by Tylee's intelligence, and there is this Jungian concept of the devouring mother, the mother who refuses to allow their child to grow or to learn or to have their own dreams or their own life, and so the mother sort of hobbles their child's ambition and their self-worth and their self-belief so that the child doesn't outshine the mother. And I think that's probably a lot of what happened in Lori and Tylee's relationship.
Yeah, that makes sense, and it's tragic and sad. I mean, I guess another thing is, like, religions sometimes really push people, and I'd say women, to have kids that maybe they wouldn't otherwise have or want to have. You know, maybe we shouldn't push people to have kids as much as we do, because maybe some people shouldn't have kids. You know,
some people should never be mothers. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And I think especially if there are people who don't want to be mothers, they shouldn't be socially pressured to be mothers.
Yeah.
Dude, my headset's broken. It's driving me fucking crazy.
Troublemaker Baker says Kobe's
like
response to the Dateline interview was really interesting. He's a remarkable young man.
Corner of it just
totally
fucking nailing into my fucking head.
S. Moore says, on his live last night, Colby mentioned how Lori blamed Tylee even before she was born, that they had a contentious relationship.
Jesus Christ.
Wow, Colby mentioned how Lori blamed Tylee before she was born, that they had a contentious relationship. I don't even know what to make of that.
I think they're basically referring to the fact that, you know, the whole time that Lori was pregnant with Tylee, she would talk about what a struggle it was and how hard it was, and so she blamed Tylee for lots of things throughout Tylee's life, and that they had a problematic relationship.
All right.
Let's see if I can find anything else. Okay, hold on. What's he doing?
Asshole. I'll think about it. Come on, play it. That's clip, by the way. That wasn't a video. That wasn't so. I guess I'll see if Aiden wants to. Aiden can, you know.
Dude, you got 154 watching. That's fucking sick.
I don't really see it.
Subscriptions. What was I gonna watch? What was it? Hold on 1 second, you guys. On it, headset will be the next thing to fix. Yeah, no doubt. I gotta do something with it. I might tape it or something in the meantime. It's like fucking poking into my head. It's driving me crazy. You are the remedy. You are, you are. Okay, history. No, we want playlist. Where's my watch later? Why can't I ever? Oh, it's right here. Watch later. Let's watch the Ruby Frankie one. Cause even though I know all this.
Later. And there have been more what Ruby has done. It just crossed a line of abusive to just psychotic.
Did Annie at least do one on this? Hold on. Did she do one on? Let's do videos. Let's do. Oh, Lori Vallow tells all. Let's do this. This is a little bit probably more clips than that.
Hey, true crime besties. Welcome back to an all-new episode of Serialously.
Freaks. Much to talk about today because there have been new cases that are breaking that I have just been flooded with requests asking for me to cover, get my take on it. We have to, of course, talk about the just like bat crazy interview that Lori Vallow did on Dateline. I watched the entire thing and it was honestly painful. It truly was, which y'all know how I feel about Lori Vallow. We also are going to talk about a new case that is breaking where this young teen girl was lured on social media by these disgusting freaks. She ended up being found dismembered. There have now been 2 arrests. Christ. The story is just absolutely appalling. There have been updates in the Gene Hackman case and the cause of death and some interesting things there. We also have updates in the Karen Reed retrial and the motion to dismiss. A juror also is coming forward. Another one speaking out. So we have got a lot to go over today. And also, don't think that I've been sleeping on these Idaho updates coming out because now we have the 911 call. We also have the text that happened that night. I have a lot to say about that, but I'm going to do that on a totally different episode, like a full episode dedicated to that because there is a lot to talk about in what's going on.
Dude, that Idaho case is never fucking ending. That's like fucking hell for people. That sucks.
On that very, very soon. I think I'm
feel bad for
planning to
those
record it
parents.
tomorrow. A lot of news came out this week about it too, even more updates. So we will definitely get to all things Idaho soon. And if you missed it, just a reminder, this last Monday I did a deep dive on Kevin Frankie. And if you're watching this on YouTube, it released way earlier over on the podcast. So as a reminder, if you want to listen to these episodes before they get released on YouTube, like days before, you can do that on the podcast because, you know, YouTube likes to be a thorn in my side and not approve things all the time. But we did a deep dive into Kevin Frankie because I did that deep dive in Ruby Frankie a few weeks back, and after watching the Hulu series and knowing so much about that case, I was left with a really bad taste in my mouth. I was like, feels like this guy is not taking accountability. It's almost as though he's trying to just like absolve himself of having any responsibility related to the treatment of his kids, which I get it. He wasn't there when everything came to a head and to this boiling point with Jody and with Ruby. However, he was there for the whole backstory before Jody even entered the picture. He was seen on camera inflicting these very, in my opinion, hard.
Hello, hello, hello. Okay, it's working. Sorry.
Harsh punishments against his children, exploiting them, caring more about the paycheck than his own children, and then he disappeared for a year. And so I felt like, and you can listen to the episode of course, but I just felt like he was trying to get off scot-free and say now how he wants custody of his children, how he just wants to do right by them. Yet in every other sentence in his interviews that he's doing in his like media press campaign tour, he's still talking about how Ruby, like he loves her and justifying actions. And so I wanted to do an episode where I'm like, no. Let's kind of like lay all the cards out on the table, right? I'm going to play original clips from you that you had made public where it's contradicting your statements that you're making now. And let's just like really call it out, Kevin. Let's call it like it is and call out act is waiting for her to be released. I think he's going off on a tangent right now. You can listen to the deep dive. He's a liar, and I believe so. So anyway, that released on Monday. You can go take a listen to that because, and I want to start with those updates that I mentioned in the Karen Reed retrial case. Now, a lot of people are probably super.
Okay, don't care.
The taillight was cracked. Not
was there someone writing down all
soccer field that was on here? If it was in almost 2 years, it was like with her mother. Surface layer. For me, like I said, I noticed a difference. Betsy was dead. Betsy.
Sorry, I'm trying to get to the part where
deranged a little bit and evil to the core. how old are you, Keith? What do you crumbs here and there? And we having a heyday way of trying.
Okay, hold on.
I mean, hopefully not. At least maybe Jean did. I don't know. I hope not. But at least we are starting to gather some sort of resolution. Now,
all right.
Now let's talk about Lori Vallow. And you know how much I freaking hate this lady. And if you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, you know I was having a heyday last week and over the weekend with short forms of Lori from like previews of the Dateline episode, where she says Keith Morrison's name literally like 10,000 times, and in a very narcissistic way of trying to almost like, I don't know, not manipulate him, maybe manipulate him, but like, okay, Keith, well, what do you think about that, Keith? I don't know, Keith. Who told you that, Keith? I don't know. How old are you, Keith? What do you think? Like, just like, shut the up, lady. Like, honestly. So I was thinking when I was making all of those reels, which you can see them at _Annie Elise on both platforms, I was thinking like, okay, these clearly are just like the highlights. Surely she didn't act this unhinged the entire interview. Guys, if you can't see my eyes right now, they are very big. I'm rolling them so far back I can see my brain. This was the most tough interview I've watched in a long time. And I watch a lot of interviews. I watch a lot of footage out there. She is so unhinged. So much so to where, like, I'll be honest, when everything was going on with her and during her trial when we were following it, we even had sent our correspondent to attend the trial in person. I thought, okay, this is all a facade. She clearly is just deranged a little bit and evil to the core, absolutely. But I didn't really think that there was a huge element of her being mentally unwell. I thought, like, okay, she's a lunatic for having these beliefs, but I truly didn't think that there was a chemical imbalance. After watching this interview, not to give Lori a pass, but like, I'm not so sure. She seemed nutty in this interview, and that's not to like shade anybody who goes through mental health struggles, not at all, but like, she was on a different planet. She truly was, unless she really was just trying so hard to sell this version of herself ahead of her new trial that's going to be happening in Arizona for her ex-husband Charles, or not even her ex-husband, her former husband Charles, which I'm getting ahead of myself, so let me kind of break it down. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, last Friday, Lori Vallow was interviewed on Dateline, and what she had to say for herself, it was pretty on brand, but it doesn't make it any less insane, because this episode was about an hour and a half long, and if you want to see it for yourself, I highly recommend checking it out, but be warned, it is a painful watch. And here's the quick overview. Lori's mannerisms throughout the entire interview are straight up like the Joker. That is the best way that I can describe it, truly. I was going to try to sugarcoat it maybe a little bit, but trust me when I say that this was an absolute impossible feat. I mean, take a listen.
Were you there the night that Tylee died? Were you there the night that JJ died?
Was
no way,
in
it's a
these
little bit
places when they died? In the place where they died, were you there?
What place was that?
Did you watch?
What place was that? Do you have any idea?
I'm asking.
Well, I'm the only one that knows. Do you know? You're pretending like you know.
It doesn't matter. I'm not pretending I know. I'm asking you a question.
Now, just from that short little clip, you can already tell that Lori was in this like silly, goofy kind of mood. But that honestly wasn't even close to being the worst of it. It's hard to pick out just one thing, but I think that the most controversial and out there thing that Lori did claim during all of this is that she knows in her heart and soul that she and Chad will both be exonerated. Which that's a huge claim to say.
That's
you
crazy.
both are going to be exonerated, and not just saying it like flippantly, like, we'll both be exonerated one day. You guys don't know the truth. She was like saying it with so much conviction. She truly, I think, believes that saying, no, I've talked to Jesus. He has showed me we will be exonerated. Like, using her chest and saying this, like really believing it. Saying Jesus is still, to this day, showing her visions, even from prison. And that she just knows, because of these visions, that she is going to be exonerated. Because she's seen it. Simple as that. Which I wish I was making this stuff up, guys, but take a listen.
How could you possibly think that Chad would be exonerated?
The same way I will be exonerated. We will both be exonerated in the future.
Because?
I have seen things in the future that Jesus showed me when I was in heaven. And we were not in jail. And we were not in prison. And they were still in the future.
I'm very rarely speechless. But this was pretty close to being one of the times that I was speechless. Because there's so much that I want to say, yet so little that I'm able to even find the accurate words for. Even after the being exonerated in the future, Lori just goes on to confidently list all of the different things that she's going to do with her life once she's exonerated. And guess what? One of those things is not, be reunited with my weirdo Peter Griffith-looking husband, not continue to think that I'm one of the 144,000s, nothing like that. No. Lori thinks she's going to be on Dancing with the Stars. Like, I'm trying not to laugh, like, no. She thinks she's going to be on Dancing with the Stars. That she's going to be exonerated, that she's going to have this warm welcoming with open arms by all of the public, all of Hollywood, and they're going to say, you know what, Doomsday Mom? Even though you were convicted of killing your 2 children in a horrible way, and even though you were also going on trial for killing your husband, and even though there's been death all around you, your brother, your husband's wife, all the, you know what, we don't believe that. We don't believe that. Come put your heels on, girl. Come do the tango with us. Like, is she out of her mind? Which the answer to that is obviously yes, right? She's gotta be. She's gotta be. So you would think that given her whole religious, whatever you want to call it, I don't know, I lean more towards psychosis, that she would want to do something with her newfound freedom that she thinks is going to happen, like something related to preaching the word of God, starting a new church, I don't know, not going on Dancing with the Stars. But she really, believes it. Now, maybe the most upsetting thing from this entire interview is that pretty much from the very moment that she sat down, she just continued to paint a very elaborate picture of her daughter Tylee, who, by the way, was 16 at the time of her murder, killing JJ, who, remember, was only 7 years old. And then she says after Tylee killed JJ, she killed herself, which this isn't exactly new news. She's been saying this, but the fact that she is still sticking with this story is not only insane to me, but so cruel. You are desecrating your daughter's memory by painting her as a murderer and then saying she took her own life out of guilt. It's like, you can't even let them rest in peace, you psychotic. Like, now you're trying to ruin their memory. It's so evil. And as a mother, which you can't even call her a mother at this point, right? But like, I'm not expecting her to have remorse for what she did, because I truly think she is evil through and through, and I think she believes a lot of this weirdo stuff that she's peddling. But I'm not even asking her to have remorse. I'm just asking her to shut up. And I'm sorry that I'm cussing a lot, guys. I know sometimes that happens, and I just
You need to go potty?
But it's like, just shut up, stop talking. Nobody wants to hear from you. Zip your mouth. And like, the fact that you are now gonna not only double down on your innocence, but you're gonna paint your innocent 16-year-old daughter as the villain, as the murderer, of saying she murdered a 7-year-old. I mean, are you crazy? Do you not have an ounce of humanity or motherly love in you? Which I don't even know why I'm getting so worked up, because obviously the answer is no, right? Obviously not. There's just no respect whatsoever to her deceased children. It is absolutely sickening. And it's just so heartbreaking that even in their deaths, even with both Chad and Lori in prison, and Chad getting the death penalty, these kids just cannot rest in peace. But remember, to Lori, those kids still were the ones who were the problem in all of this. They were the zombies. They were the dark spirits. They were the ones who Lori and Chad perceived as threats. Keith Morrison described the entire interview like this, and I think it gives a pretty good idea of how it went down for those of you who may not want to sit down and watch the entire thing, but here's what he said, and this is a direct quote. She wanted to fill that entire 90 minutes that we had with a long, shaggy dog tale about how her daughter killed her son and then killed herself. The authorities and the police who investigated this know for a fact
What
that
is
this is
from?
not...
She wanted to fill 90... What is this from?
Possibly true. For one thing, they did in their deaths, even with both Chad and Lori in prison, and Chad getting the death penalty. These kids just cannot rest in peace. But remember, to Lori, those kids still were the ones who were the problem in all of this. They were the zombies. They were the dark spirits. They were the ones who Lori and Chad perceived as threats. Keith Morrison described the entire interview like this, and I think it gives a pretty good idea of how it went down for those of you who may not want to sit down and watch the entire thing, but here's what he said, and this is a direct quote. She wanted to fill that entire 90 minutes that we had with a long, shaggy dog tale about how her daughter killed her son and then killed herself. The authorities and the police who investigated this know for a fact that this is not possibly true. For one thing, they died 2 weeks apart. So I tried to get her off that narrative and onto some of the issues, some of the things that they knew happened, but she wasn't going there. So it was a very interesting little tennis match that we had, which I'm just thankful that Keith wasn't going to let her fully spew all of her bull, because even though she didn't really seem to care what his opinion was of her or how she was acting, even what the public's opinion is of her, she just still was spewing all of her BS, but he was doing a great job shutting it down. And to Lori, she says all the people who have these opinions about her, the public judgments, everybody who has this perception of who she really is, she says, well, those people, they don't have the full story. She's just misunderstood. They don't know the real her, which, again, huge eye roll, so much I can see my brain. And maybe this is a hot take, though I'm sure most of you will probably agree with me, but I genuinely don't believe that Lori will ever see the error of her ways or regret what she did. I really think that until the day that she dies, she really will believe that everything that has happened, 2 dead children, 2 dead spouses, a brother who died, the public hate, all of it,
She's just gonna run,
a
whatever.
necessary part of this lifetime life plan that she and Chad had planned. How they will just meet again in their next life like they apparently had all those other times before, and that this is just, a tiny little chapter in their story. And what's so wild to me is that prison breaks a lot of people. How many times do we hear of people finding God and reform and rehabilitation, even though I think a lot of that sometimes is bull too. I think it's performative. But we do know that prison does break a lot of people. But clearly, not Lori. If anything, she just seems even more arrogant and more feisty than before. And as interesting as this interview was, I'm honestly just ready for her to just fade away into the background of everything. I want her to be held accountable, found guilty of Charles's death, which that is going to be happening in April. And maybe we'll cover that. Let me know if you guys want us to cover that trial. I personally am just so freaking done with Lori DiVallo. But I feel like, honestly, she doesn't even deserve for people to know her face or her name. But if you want me to cover that, I will. But I hope after that she just, fades and, disintegrates and goes away and we never have to see her crazy face or crazy voice again. So, good riddance, Lori DiVallo. Now let's talk about this case, because I think we might end up doing a deep dive into this case. It is awful. And when I say awful, I mean awful in, with my gut to the nth degree. I think that was the expression when I was a kid. But so many of you have been tagging me and DMing me and emailing asking me to cover this, and it's just really, really devastating. And it shows you once again how predators are using social media as a tool to lure people in, to bring in the most vulnerable, the most excited, the most optimistic,
kind of
and
useless.
use social media almost as
I thought she was gonna
playground
give
for
like more insight,
distraction.
and she didn't. So hold on, let me finish this. What else do we want to watch? Anything exciting? I honestly haven't really been involved much in anything. You know what we could watch is that Toastify video. I was starting to watch it, but I kind of got bored. Or I wasn't bored. That's not the right thing I should say. I just didn't care. There you go. That's better. Alright, hold on. Let me go to Toastify. Oh god. Toastify. Oh god.
This led to a private conversation. Back in 2019, Madame or Princess Ash was the subject to one of the fastest rises and falls in internet history. She started out as just another commentary channel, pretty much skinwalking Leafy is here, but due to her extensive coverage on people like Onision, she suddenly became the talk of the town. Did it matter to anyone watching that there was nothing notable about her apart from her gender? In the short term, no. But as time passed, Madame appeared to have been hiding her erratic behaviour. In fact, the most interesting thing she would do was the action that caused her downfall. After attempting to dox a 15-year-old over credit and the meltdown that followed, her career was in freefall, and most holdouts left when they found that she had scammed those who had raised money for a lawsuit. That's the story that everyone knows, and it's been retold many, many times by different creators. Yet none of them have said the full story. Madame should have just been another footnote in history, but everything I've been finding after digging through old archives shows a lot more than what we saw. Madame's online footprint goes back years, and throughout there's a recurring pattern. A woman with an unrelenting desire to get attention, getting revenge in whatever way she can, and her actions seem to eclipse what she's most known for. So, take a seat. This is the story behind the female Leafy clone who doxed her artist.
Now, if you're stuck in 2016 calling people Leafy clones, you need to reevaluate your SAG life.
She wants to leech off of me for content after I made my video. No,
and it's going to be a long process, and I'm willing to go through it because you will not get away
I can't change her name. Oh,
Jen just stolen once, but twice, and then released personal information of a 15-year-old.
So you forgot the credit and cried over one comment, and then you tried to dox them.
She scammed her community through her Patreon, saying that she was going to sue Onision.
Ash had actually hired people from the dark web.
And then I realized who it was. I was like, oh, this is Madam, this is like trouble, and I kind of went
Madame, or Ashley S, was born on February 8th, 2000. Her history is as dubious as ever. She's lied and exaggerated throughout her career. But according to her own narration, her early life wasn't pretty. Madame says she's diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and severe depression. It's possible her upbringing was the cause of this, as she notes her family were abusive. In fact, her recollection of her last day with her family ended in a fight with her stepdad. When the police came and saw her bruises, they apparently neglected to help her and treated her like a criminal. In response, Madame packed her bags, went to the airport, and flew across the country to the middle of nowhere. From there, she would ask strangers for help and then rebuild her life. Keep in mind, she says this happened a few years ago at the time of upload, so she would have been around 15 to 16 years old. It's also worth noting that she said this story in a video where she claims she broke out of a mental facility. It seems harsh now to cast doubt upon this, but as we go on, you'll see where I'm coming from. It doesn't help that she threatens to sue the mental facility in the video, and as we'll find out later, her history of lawsuit threats is shaky, to say the least. Back when she was a young teen, Madame loved watching videos made by people like Leafy is here. If you're a fairly young viewer, you might think this is a little unlikely. I mean, what interest would a teenage girl have in a guy who makes videos bullying kids? But back then, that was exactly part of the course. Leafy had a massive following of teenage girls, people from Tumblr who idolized him. Some of them would even go on to have their own notoriety, like Katie Triggers Me. To put it simply, 2016 was a pretty different time, one where it was hard to escape the ship art of Leafy and his female character Femi. That's the fandom that Madame Group was a part of. For the next 2 years, Madame would go from a fan to a content creator, making typical commentary videos. One thing to note now is that throughout her career, Madame would go on to pretty much skinwalk Leafy. A lot of commentary channels have borrowed aspects of Leafy's content, used it as a jumping off point to develop their own style, and these people are, in my opinion, unfairly labelled as Leafy clones. Madame is different. She was quite literally a Leafy clone. She copied his style, way of talking, type of videos, and even merch. I mean, this is far beyond using inspiration as an excuse. So, why did she stand out amongst everyone else? Well, to be blunt and honest, it's because she was a woman. When it came to what she was actually saying, she did not stand out from anyone else. People liked her because the commentary audience was undeniably full of dorky 13-year-old boys who were going through puberty. and that fact didn't sit well with Madame. She would fight for seemingly every inch of her 20,000 subscriber popularity. She would relentlessly argue with other people about her legitimacy as a creator. Sometimes she'd make entire videos ranting against her comment section. It was clear that this kind of stuff got to her.
And to allow your 10-year-old brother to watch cancers such as Leafy shows how much of a f***ed up sister and person you are. Alright, Chris, please, do us all a favor and open your ears.
Oh, what a
before
little
you tell me to
bitch.
shut
Oh,
up. You
keep
clearly
running,
didn't listen if
keep
you're accusing
running.
me of being a f***ed up person and accusing me of allowing my brother to watch Leafy. I'm not a controlling person. Policing your siblings and treating them like you're their parent would make you shitty. Now, I know your IQ is below 20, but at least try your best to use your brain before commenting. It's the least you could do. This weirdo slid in my DMs telling me I have potential and that my channel is gonna blow up. Now, if you're stuck in 2016 calling people Leafy clones, you need to reevaluate your sad life.
That excerpt is from an old video made by the YouTuber Simply Dad, someone who would go on to become friends with Madame in early 2019. And what he notes about her behavior is very interesting. In an interview, Simply Dad recollects that Madame would kind of be all over the place. It's well known she was flirting with another YouTuber known as Muggy, but at the same time she was flirting with other commentary YouTubers, saying if things didn't work with Muggy, she would get with them. She got into calls with YouTubers bigger than her, immediately asking to collab, and those who did usually ended up texting her and getting her nudes. I talked to another commentary channel known as OG Lofi, who did not date her, but was around when she was active, and his stories seem to echo the sentiment.
Yeah, so she dated Muggy, dude, and like I only talked to bro a handful of times. We had a couple of friends in common, but anytime like she came up, because she cheated on Muggy with Loki.
Really? Holy.
Yeah, like they were doing like Easting, and I remember because he was bragging to me about getting Madam's nudes. And so yeah, he was like, yeah, actually he did show them to me. I didn't want to be shown this. I had adamantly been like, no, I don't want to see this chick's news. It was not meant for my eyes. Like, to be clear, I was not a participator in trying to spread this. I was very, very against it. But he still like pulled them up on call, and I was just like, dude, like, golf, like that. I don't want to see that.
I guess also I think Tom commented this, that like Turkey Tom, that she would like try to flirt with everyone and tell them specifically like, oh, if things don't work out with Muggy, I'll just give you a VidCon, maybe a VidCon or something.
He was a huge clout chaser. Like, that is something that I really remember, because like she tried to like hit on Scrubby, but Scrubby blew her the f off. Yeah, actually, yeah, Scrubby vaguely mentioned something about that in a conversation. I remember, like she was like, yeah, trying to hit on everybody at the time, and I guess the only person who was down bad enough was Loki.
First of all, I find this interesting because it paints two very different pictures. On one hand, Madame abhors the idea that she's only known for her gender and tries to prove she's not. On the other hand, it seemed like she was wielding her gender, directly using it as a way to get a step up the ladder. Either of these motivations usually make sense, but both at the same time, that to me indicates a total obsession with attention and clout. And this is a conclusion I draw from some of the stories I've been told. To me, it almost seems like she went too far to try and further her career.
He was honestly sending them to anybody that she could use in the future, because from what I heard, that there were several people who had these nudes that she personally sent them to. I remember Cyrus mentioning that she was being weird to him, but like
this is
so
when
Cyrus
he was underage.
Yeah.
This is when he was like underage.
Oh, wait, how old was, I don't know how old Madame would have been back then.
So I was around 18 or 19 at the time, and she was like 20, 21. Like she was of legal drinking.
She was like
age.
21, 22.
Yeah, because like she was able to drink before Scrubby was, and Scrubby was a year older than me.
Wasn't Cyrus like 14?
So
Yeah.
when I met Cyrus, I was 18 and he was like 15. Yeah, he was 15.
I know she used to constantly like playfully flirt with Shriga, who was much more underage than she was. I think he was like 14, 15 at the time. It wasn't like she was interested in anything. It was she's saying it's kind of like keep him on her side. She's done that with a lot of people. Lots.
One of the people that Madame tried to flirt with was the commentary YouTuber Scrubby. Madame and Scrubby met back in a VC in 2019, and according to Simply Dad, she begged him for a Fortnite collab video. Scrubby kind of just ignored her and was working on some other stuff, and Madame became so enraged by this that she concocted a secret plan to ensnare him. A few days later, she would send two girls to flirt with Scrubby and Simply Dad. After this, Madame would confront Scrubby and accuse him of being a pedophile because these girls were underage. This is despite the fact that, first of all, the girls claimed they were adults and only changed their ages after, and secondly, Scrubby also never reciprocated any of the flirting and just ignored them. But that was enough basis for her to falsely smear Scrubby as a pedophile to multiple other people. Obviously, it's a strangely vengeful move for what was such a nothing burger.
Because she tried accusing Tom of being friends with Scrubby. She tried accusing Scrubby
Yes,
of being
let's
a
go.
pedophile. She tried accusing me of being a pedophile. Like, she literally sent some chick to go hit on me and Tom and Scrubby, and she would lie about her age, and then like
Jesus
hit on
Christ.
us, come back to Madame. She tried to confront me, saying like, "Oh, you're a pedophile." I was like, "No, this person."
I'm just realizing, why did Augie have like a fucking window in his closet? That's weird as fuck. This doesn't even make sense. What the hell? Okay, I got a victory royale. I got a return to lobby. I'm gonna end this stream. I forgot I was streaming on Twitch. Well, let me see. Let's exit over real quick. Is anything going on in here? Nothing? Bro, I was fucking raped and nobody saw it. Tragic. Hopefully I could use it for some sick gameplay, you know, when I do my videos. Never. Oh, shit. Okay.
So, and she told Tom she was 14, then she told Scrubby she was this age. So, like, it's fucked. She wants to leech off of me for content after I made my video, you know, doing Fortnite with Simply Dad, making a video with Turkey Tom and Simply Dad. Imagine if she tried to do the same thing to Scrubby, but then Scrubby didn't want to do it, because he just doesn't with her. And, like, look at me, I don't like her. I vocally said that I don't like her. I wouldn't take back what I said about my videos, and now she's trying to say all this shit about me, right? She wants the content, and if she can't get it, then it immediately
Alright, you guys.
an evil, pedophile,
I'm
baby
done.
killer, puppy kicker.
I'm gonna go take Shaggy out.